Welcome to Community Solar News. Della, I've got a good one for you today. A big one and a small one, and this week they're pointing in almost opposite directions.
Big and small. Give me the rundown before you dive in, and skip the tally things up voice this time.
No promises. Story 1. A national buyer just picked up a 5-project, 32-megawatt package in Virginia in a single move. Story 2. A 2-megawatt project outside Chicago just published a real audited first-year savings number, and it is not small.
Okay, I already have opinions on both. Start with the big one.
Hot take right out of the gate before we even get into the details. This market doesn't only grow by building more megawatts. Sometimes it grows because somebody with a checkbook decides what's already standing is worth owning. That's story 1.
You're about to tell me somebody bought something.
Altus Power just acquired 5 community solar projects from New Leaf Energy. All 5 sit under Appalachian Power's shared solar program in Virginia, and together they add up to 32 megawatts.
32 megawatts in one swing. That's not a toe in the water.
It's not. And once it's fully subscribed, this portfolio is set up to deliver clean power to about 5,000 homes.
5 projects, 1 buyer, 1 utility program. What I actually like here isn't even the size, it's that it's Appalachian Power. That's not the first name that jumps to mind when people talk shared solar.
No, it's not. When people list the shared solar states, they usually go straight to the Illinois, New York, Massachusetts trio.
Right. So seeing a clean developer-to-owner handoff clear inside Appalachian Power's specific program tells me the mechanics there actually work, not just on paper. That's a real data point for anyone eyeing that state.
Agreed. And think about what this actually is from New Leaf's side. They built 5 projects to the point of being ready to transact, and then found a buyer willing to take all 5 off their hands in one move instead of shopping them one at a time.
Which is its own kind of efficient. Less time negotiating 5 separate deals, 1 clean handoff, presumably 1 closing table. And for a state where the shared solar program is still relatively new, having an experienced national owner step in and take on 5 projects at once is basically an endorsement. Lenders look at exactly this kind of transaction when they're pricing risk on the next project in that state.
That's a fair way to put it. Proof of exit is its own kind of infrastructure. And for a buyer like Altus, this barely registers as a big swing. They're already serving more than 40,000 subscribers nationwide and sitting on more than 1.4 gigawatts of solar assets. For them, this is just Tuesday.
There's the spreadsheet heart again. You get genuinely delighted by a big number like that's a personality trait.
It is a personality trait. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Which is exactly the signal I'd want if I were a developer with a finished project and no interest in being a long-term asset owner. There's real appetite out there to take community solar off your hands once it's built.
In this rate environment, that's not nothing. Financing has been the story for 2 years running on this beat. Capital cost, refinancing risk, all of it. A buyer this active, in a program this far from the usual headline states, is a genuinely useful signal. And if I'm a developer circling a newer, less proven program, this is exactly the kind of proof point that helps get a project across the finish line with a lender.
Actually, this connects to something you called 2 episodes ago. You predicted the BlackRock Global Infrastructure Partners deal for Summit Ridge Energy would be, quote, a signal, not a one-off, for consolidation in this market.
I remember, and you pushed back, said consolidation cuts both ways for smaller developers.
I still think that's true. But I'll admit, a national buyer scooping up a 5-project package from a regional developer in a state outside the usual headline 3 is at least consistent with your read.
I'll take consistent with my read as a partial victory.
Don't get used to it. Good clean deal, though. What's the other one?
Complete change of pace. My second story isn't about scale at all. It's about receipts.
Ooh, I like when you set it up like that.
There's a 2-megawatt project called Torrence out in Sauk Village, just south of Chicago. Reactivate developed it. They're an Illinois-based company that builds community renewable projects aimed at working-class people around the country.
2 megawatts is tiny next to what we just talked about.
It is, but stay with me. In its first year of operation, October 2024 through October 2025, Torrence delivered an estimated $186,000 in total subscriber savings.
For how many subscribers?
About 650. And here's the number I actually want to sit on for a second. 91% of them earn less than $50,000 a year.
That's the part that actually matters. This isn't a project that happened to pick up a few low-income subscribers along the way. This is a project that set out to reach that population, and then somebody actually went back a year later and measured whether it worked.
Right. This wasn't a projection in a press release before the fact. It's a first-year audit after the fact. The write-up even opens with one of the actual subscribers, a woman named Diane, which is a nice touch. It's not just a spreadsheet, there's a person attached to that number.
Okay, but who does that leave out? Every time I hear a big percentage like 91, I want to know about the other 9.
Fair question, and it's not one this release answers, at least not with numbers we've got in hand. What we do have is clean. 650 subscribers, a year of operation, a real dollar figure, and no hand-waving about projections.
I'll take a real number over a hypothetical any day, and it didn't happen by accident either. Reactivate worked with the Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, the Village of Park Forest, and the Housing Authority of Cook County to get subscribers signed up in the first place.
Which is the actual playbook if you're building for an LMI carve-out and you actually want it to work. You don't just set aside capacity, you partner with the organizations already trusted in that community, because that's who people actually listen to.
It's also just good sense operationally. A community organization has already done the trust-building work. A developer showing up cold with a marketing budget hasn't.
Right. You're renting credibility you can't buy at any price, and it shows up a year later in a number like this one.
And then you go back and check your work a year later. That's the part I want more developers copying, not just the partnership, the follow-up audit.
Can't disagree with that. It's the difference between a program design that sounds good in a filing and one that has a receipt behind it.
Exactly. A regulator can read a promise. A subscriber can only spend an actual dollar. It also makes the case for something worth saying out loud. LMI carve-outs are hard to police from the outside. A developer publishing its own year-one numbers is a much better trust signal than any compliance filing could be.
Especially when the number's specific. Not hundreds of thousands in savings, not a range, $186,000, 650 subscribers. That specificity is what makes it a receipt instead of a talking point.
If I'm a program administrator watching this, that's the bar. If I'm a competing developer, that's the bar too.
And if you're running subscriber acquisition for a similar project, this is basically free marketing copy. Verified savings data beats a projection in an enrollment pitch every time.
Assuming you actually have the receipts to back it up, which again is the whole point.
And honestly, Illinois keeps showing up in our rundown lately. Warren County, Machesty Park, the Shines block closing a few weeks back, now Torrence.
That state's having a real stretch. Feels like the industry growing up thread from last episode just found another data point. Big portfolio buyer on one side, small verified impact project on the other. Different shapes, same maturing market. Two very different stories, same conclusion, honestly. This market is finding better ways to prove itself, whether that's who's willing to buy it or what it actually delivers.
I'm going to call that agreement with my hot take from the top.
Don't push your luck.
Okay, 2 quick things before we let you go.
First, this whole episode, like basically every one of them, comes together almost entirely with AI. We're picky about which tools we use for that. We choose ones from companies that cover their own energy and grid costs and use water-efficient cooling, instead of pushing those costs onto local households and small businesses.
On an energy show, that felt like the least we could do. Which brings me to today's sponsor, because it's related. This episode is brought to you by Our Power Co.
Their pitch is about as plain as it gets. You build the solar, we bring the community.
They do community solar customer acquisition, full stop, filling subscriber capacity for projects like the ones we just covered. If you've got megawatts that need subscribers, that's who to call.
And if you're listening as a homeowner or a renter who just wants to subscribe and lower your own bill, that's a separate door. Go to joincommunity.solar to sign up.
Every figure in today's episode is sourced and linked in the show notes, same as always.
One more thing, just a little plug before we go. We also publish the Solar Docket now. It's a free daily rundown of what actually moved in community solar between episodes. Docket filings, capacity block changes, program notices, deals, plus a short read on what each one means.
It's at communitysolar.news.
That's it for today. Find us on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and now on YouTube too, if you'd rather watch than listen.
Head to communitysolar.news for the newsletter and every source we used today. We'll see you next time.
That's the community in Community Solar.